Hi, this is Joseph Arthur. Thanks for checking out Come to Where I'm From. Please support us on Patreon, patreon.com/come-to-where-I'm-from. We are an independent podcast, and any contributions you can make are greatly appreciated. I wish people like everybody who has moist hands. It's always the fear that somebody's gonna think that they think you peed on your hand, and who pees on their hand?
Nobody pees on their hands, really.
Although, have you ever heard of urine therapy?
I have not. Is that a real thing?
That's a real thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
shoot.
Yeah.
I
Look into it.
What's a real thing? I wasn't
Urine
listening.
therapy.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It's a real thing, but we can change the subject right away. We can instantly change the subject.
I live with 4 daughters and Kirsten, and I think that I'm accused of urine therapy, of trying to institute a policy of urine therapy frequently. I think
Oh yeah.
Can't you aim? I'm like, I actually can't. At 43, it's kind of hard to aim.
Oh, I have that same problem.
Yeah.
I only have
I'm
two women in my apartment, but yeah, it's an issue.
I'm trying.
I'm trying to aim,
I'm trying.
but it dribbles.
There's no way around
It shoots every which way. It's just not.
I know this isn't a great subject
I'm
to start
40.
on,
Yeah.
but
I'm 48, and I got pretty good aim.
You do?
Yeah.
Well, see,
it's not the aim. There are certain bowls that doesn't matter where you hit it, it splashes. It's bananas.
yeah, and I
That's what the water's for. The water
Well,
stops
but then you
the
don't want to make
splash.
noise. But sometimes you hit the water and it splashes from the water. So it's like
How hard are you peeing? That's like, what is
Well,
it? A
if
tidal
you-
wave?
if you have great aim though, that's an asset. That's a selling point.
I have good aim.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's just like
my aim is true,
yeah,
like Elvis Costello.
yeah.
So you wrote a book, or are you writing it? You wrote one.
No, I did just finish it.
You
It's
completed
being
it?
printed. Yeah,
Wow. Is it a biography, autobiography?
it's a collection of essays that it involves. There's a little bit of memoir in there, but it's not a memoir. It's a collection of essays about the stuff in life that I think is, the important stuff. The first part of the book is relationships. So there's an essay on marriage, one on friends, kids, people you work with. Then the second half of the book is the big pillars, forgiveness, integrity, sense of humor, So it's
Nonfiction.
nonfiction
Essays. What's it called?
It's called Objects in the Mirror.
Oh, right.
Thoughts on a Perfect Life from an Imperfect Person.
That's interesting. And how do you go about forgiveness, or what's that one about?
Forgiveness was maybe one of the more important ones to write, because you really have to kind of you have to look at who haven't I forgiven? Who haven't I been forgiven by? I mean, I had to wade through some fairly painful stuff for that. But one of the things that I really got into when I was doing that was, we all want to be forgiven, and there's some situations where I haven't been forgiven, and I've reached out. And so at some point, then the trick becomes then you can forgive yourself, when someone won't do it for you. And that was a powerful medicine that came from writing the book, was like, okay, when you really have looked at the situation, taken responsibility for a role that you may have played, a way it may have hurt someone, they don't have to forgive you. Nobody has to, but when you forgive somebody, you are the beneficiary of that, including yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Especially yourself. That's the hardest one to forgive.
It is.
It
is. Oftentimes it is. But when you do it, like, you can actually move past painful stuff,
Yeah.
And that was a good chapter. We made it one of the last chapters. So
What brought this on?
the book.
Yeah.
It's a good question, man. I think I just wanted to write a book. I just thought, I want to write a book.
I want to write one too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you do these like Instagram posts or Facebook. You write your newsletters. You write these things, and you think
It's all disposable.
Yeah, well, you want to connect with people, and I like that little connection, but it just fritters through quick, and you kind of think, I don't know if that had an impact, and then music, like yourself, I've been in this now 20 years.
Right.
And hey, I love it. It's a great thing. But it occurs to me that there's a lot of people who what I have to say they might be into, but maybe what I do musically just isn't their cup of tea.
Right.
And I'd like to reach some of those people, you know? Maybe they're not into the singer-songwriter Americana vibe that I do.
Yeah.
But I think I got something to say to them. So I thought, well, this will be another medium, and I can get in here and I could do this. I just didn't realize it was going to, it's harder. It's not, it was a lot I underestimated how difficult it would be.
Why? Because letting go of it, or?
No, it's because sitting down, the mechanics of writing a book are so different than, I've been writing songs for a long time. Comfortable with that. Writing a book is super solitary. Because I read a lot, I feel like I have a sense of what I think good writing looks like. And this was something where I could actually sit there hours on end, days on end, and look at it and be like, wow, this still is kind of a piece of shit. Like, it's not, I'm not saying what I want. The tone doesn't ring as true. It doesn't seem authentic. And that is just humbling, you know? And then it's fun to say, oh, I'm writing a book, you know, out and your friends, oh, that's neat, you know, and you get to talk about it. But when it occurs to you that you might give it everything you have, you might work tirelessly on it, and it still might be not that great. It's its own craft, you know, it's its own thing. It's not something, you don't just, you know, pick up a scalpel and start brain surgery. But somehow a book, you think, well, how hard can it be? I'll just say what I mean. And yet,
seems kind of hard. I mean,
well, you also have good aim. I mean, you know, you're good at certain things. Maybe you pick it up, but
yeah, I can miss the toilet bowl. I mean,
I thought it was gonna be tough, but I didn't realize. Like, I mean, I'd been working for a year and a half, and I got on the bus one night with the band and to read them an essay, and I just, because I hadn't read it, and I thought this will be fun. I'll share it with some of my closest friends.
not fun.
No, I mean, I started sobbing when I was done reading them this chapter. And they're like, what's up? And I'm like, because I know this isn't that good. Like, it's just, it sounds a little preachy. It doesn't sound that interesting. Like, it's.
And you started crying? Sobbing?
Yeah.
Why? Because you felt broken by it, or?
Well, we don't know each other that well, but I am prone to. I live close to the water. I'm a crier.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm not afraid to cry.
that in and
I'll
of
cry.
itself isn't. But I mean,
I cried at the Elton John movie.
Did you?
Like a baby.
Really?
Oh man! Like,
what was
like
that about? Why
gushing? And then I had to go home and you know, wish my day a good night and lay in the fetal position and weep all night.
Okay, so
Tell
us about that.
That movie slam dunked me. Yeah.
Okay, what was it about the movie that got
just
you?
I related to it. Whatever, you know, his just it hit me hard. You know, it was one of those things where, and it's like,
What, his relationship with his dad?
and his family, family. That whole thing. It was just like, it just was like it crushed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So
I think I know
That's all.
what
I
scene.
didn't.
I think I know what
I didn't
scene
want to
you're
go this
talking
deep
about.
into that. I wanted to just let you know that I'm also a crier.
But you also.
But I didn't want to go into psychoanalysis.
Was it the scene? Was it the scene where he goes to visit his dad?
No, I mean, it was the whole damn thing.
whole
It was
thing?
just I related to it, and you know, I liked it a lot. I mean, I know a lot of people thought it was cheesy or whatever, but I thought it was powerful.
No, that's cool that
It's
I mean.
But anyway, back to the essays.
Well, for me, it was. I guess, you know, if I really was to get into it, it probably has something to do with shame.
Yeah.
And I just felt slightly ashamed of myself to think, you know, you sort of think like, well, I'm good at these things, and then you sit down and you work on something for a year and a half,
Yeah.
and when you put it in the light of day,
Yeah.
and you go, this isn't releasable yet. Like this
Yeah.
wouldn't do anybody any good, and I've worked really hard on it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was
So you
a
felt
little
defeated.
Yeah, I felt really defeated in that moment. I mean, it ended up making the book. You know, you go home, you regroup, and you get up and keep going, which is what we
So
do.
were you writing essays before, like, or did you go like, I haven't written anything, just songs, and I just want to write a book? Or were you like, oh, I write these essays, a couple of them are good, maybe I should write more?
Yeah, I mean, I was dabbling,
Yeah.
you know, but I didn't. One of the things that I now know is if you're gonna write a book, it's not a bad idea to kind of make an outline of it before you start. You know,
Right.
that helps direct it. It can
But if
be,
it's a collection of essays, why do you need an
yeah,
outline?
well, if you sit down to write a book, maybe you will find that you don't. But I wrote an awful lot of essays, and I wasn't sure what, you're fishing around for it. It's like when you're trying to figure out an album, you're just, what's this album going to be,
Mm-hmm.
And it was when I kind of got a framework for it that I still had tons of work to do, but it actually got to be slightly, there was some light, because when you're just writing, that's like saying, write me the best song you've ever written, and it can be about anything and there's no parameters. That might feel liberating to some, but that's an awful lot of freedom. It's sometimes nice, I think, to have some kind of, we're going to write a book for this reason for now, and then maybe we'll write our book about other things another day, but it like frees you up from feeling like you have to tell every story you've ever lived,
I see what you're saying. Did you have like a pattern of like, I write in the mornings, or I do morning pages and then I write, or was there like...
I didn't, but
it was just whenever, wherever.
I could see how that works, but our life, like a lot of people's, like we got 4 kids. I'm on tour. I still don't make my living as a writer. I make it as a songwriter. So it's like kind of like I had to attend to business. So I would just write when I'd have free time. And that's where, my 12-year-old said to me just the other day, she goes, Dad, are you going to write more books? And I said, I don't know, honey. And she goes, I hope not.
Really?
And I'm like, because every free time,
away.
we're going to the beach, and I'd be like, not me. I'm gonna sit my ass in this chair, and maybe I'll have like a good day, but maybe I won't, and I'll feel like I got nothing.
And you missed out on family time.
I missed out on so much family time.
When she said, I hope not, did that make you go like, yeah, fuck it, I'm not gonna write one until they graduate college?
If I was, it kind of did, but I know myself, and I know that if I have a book to write, I'll write it regardless. I mean, every album I've ever made in my life, I'm like, this is probably the last one because I just need to do this one last thing, and then you make the album, and then but I think of it now, it's like a meal. You might get full.
Yeah, you get full.
You get real full.
You get hungry,
and you say, I'm never gonna eat again, but you're gonna eat again. You're gonna get hungry again. So,
but kids are like that because and you have 4 girls.
Yeah.
And I just know from Carmen, every time I go to work, she's like, why do you have to go to work? Why do people always call you? And why do you say yes? It's like, it's always with the kids. Whatever keeps you from them is like, cut it out.
Well, and you clearly you've got like a thing, an itch that needs to be scratched because you go hard. I mean, you do. You're like, I taped 150 things last week. I mean, it's like you
I'm
hit
going
it hard.
to Europe to film James in fucking Ireland. It's like,
Portugal.
Portugal or whatever.
Is that something you just did? You
September.
Yeah. And now I'm like his kid because I'm like, yo, what about this podcast, bro?
Right.
Yeah, no, I mean, and you were hardcore. Like, when are we doing that? Like, a lot of people, you should do this thing.
No, let's do it.
But you're like, you make it happen because you're compelled to. I mean, you do this because you're compelled. And even my kids, who I love more than anybody in the world, except the fact that my wife's sitting right next to me, who I also love in this way. But your kids, like, as much as I love them, like, I could never be anything to them if I didn't scratch that itch when it came along. I just got to do it, Yeah,
of course. That's good to be an example of somebody who gets into the flow state and has a passion.
Hope so.
Yeah, definitely. What
I
else?
like it. I appreciate the encouragement.
Bored and watching TV. That's not a good look.
Well, it's like you said before we started. You said, it's nice when life's getting after you, and it's true when you're tempted to,
nice to be
complain
busy.
about the chaos. Like, it's true.
Yeah.
Where'd
you grow up?
I grew up in New England, Connecticut, and then we moved to Massachusetts because we would be like, Connecticut's a cultural void.
And
then we started having kids, and we're like, we should go back. You know what? Connecticut's not a cultural void.
Is it underrated?
It is. There's so many creative people living there. I mean, but it also has, there's like an entitlement to it that kind of where you're like, well, we'll just pay for
it does have a bad rap.
Yeah, and I get it. I get pissed.
Who's the Springsteen of Connecticut?
This
Springsteen
guy.
of Connecticut.
You know, like every state has its.
Well, dude, I mean, I went to school with John Mayer. He's going to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I saw him play with the Dead last week. It's like,
Okay, John Mayer is like a.
I didn't know he was Connecticut.
I didn't know he was Connecticut.
oh yeah, John Mayer.
Wow.
There's so, I mean, in my graduating class alone, you got John Mayer, you got Chris Drury, who went on to be NHL Rookie of the Year, Justin Long, great actor.
Wow.
He was a year behind me, but I mean, there's a lot of talent. There's a lot
bro,
of
I went to
creativity.
the same high school as the Black Keys.
What?
LeBron James is from my hometown.
Is
I
that
mean, it hurts.
Detroit? Where?
Akron.
Cleveland? Akron?
Akron. Yeah, Chrissy Hine. So I know your pain.
You're like, I've gone on to do like
I'm not
international things, but I'm like, I'm not
Dude,
even on the list.
I'm not even on the high school wall of fame.
I remember
I know.
that.
It's bullshit.
We went
I mean,
to his
come
high
on,
school,
bro.
and he's like, "Where's my name?"
It is bullshit.
I mean, it's total bullshit. But you know what? I don't really care. It doesn't bug me.
It's okay. It's it is totally fine.
You know why? Because I like being an underdog. I just wish age wasn't a thing. Because I could be an underdog forever. It's just when you start factoring it against, how many more years am I going to live? You know? Like, if we lived to be 400, I'd be fine with just being an underdog for another 100 years or something like that. It'd be cool.
How do you feel about being middle-aged underdog versus being the young
I'll tell you
upstart?
what. I feel better than I ever have because I got into athletics about 3 years ago in a hardcore way, and just so I don't feel my years. So I feel, and also I've gone through a lot of transitions in the last few years too. So everything feels new to me right now. So I don't have that. In my mid 30s or something like that, I had more of like that road worn, like it's all over.
Yeah,
I've
right.
seen it all. It didn't happen. I'm fucked up. That whole thing. So I know what that's like, the end of the line. I feel like, but I don't feel that in any way, shape, or form now. So I really do feel like, the whole cliche, age is just a number. I really feel, and plus I haven't started a family yet. Like I mean, and I still want to.
Yeah, you got things that you're
possibly, So there, in a way, there's a Peter Pan syndrome going on to a certain degree with me, which I'm not saying in a
when you're ironically
self-flattering-
dressed in green today too,
Yeah.
all
Wearing
from head to
these.
toe. I mean, yeah.
I still wear shoes like that, so I mean, it's like,
It is a Peter Pan outfit.
yeah, I do have my Peter Pan outfit on. But so, what about you? Do you feel are you feeling brand new about life, or are you feeling like haggard and in the end of the road, or somewhere
No,
along?
I mean, ironically, we were just having this conversation 15 minutes ago, but I feel this is great. This
Yeah.
is the best I've ever felt. And we
Yeah.
had this, and
Yeah,
we had this conversation last week. Like, everything in me is more excited than I've ever been.
Yeah, me too.
I feel like the work's more stimulating. I know why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm also aware of, like you just said, though, like, oh, wow, there's perhaps more time behind me than in front of me now.
Perhaps, but maybe not with the new computers they're about to syringe us
Well, and
full
there's
of,
your
you
Peter
know?
Pan.
Like,
There's your.
you know what I mean?
I'm
It's
like a little more on the melancholy side of
I
it,
mean-
but that's good for you. Like,
yeah,
sure, maybe.
I did 90 minutes of hot yoga today. I feel great,
And that might just keep you living longer. I'm going to go to a steakhouse when we're done. And
I
so,
do the steakhouse thing too. So
Okay.
I go yoga and steakhouse. I'm a weird one.
No, that's good. I got to. I'm not doing the exercise very much, but
Yeah.
we're working on that. That's a tough one, but
Yeah.
I just think, you want this. I've heard people say, "Oh, wait till you." My stepdad, who was one of my heroes, used to always say, "Yes, Stefano, when you get to your 40s, like you'll just be getting started. That's when you're really gonna do stuff." And I turned 43 next week, and I never believed him, but I do feel that way.
Well, do you know the book by Napoleon Hill called Think and Grow Rich?
Yeah.
I think it's in that book, and they talk about the prime years for human beings is the most creative is 40 to 60, which I was surprised because you don't often hear that. And that book came out in the 30s, even. So that was when people died at 65, basically.
Yeah.
So it's but it's they say your prime creative years, like where you're your most energy, but also know-how combines and from 40 to 60. So he was onto something.
I think so. It's sort of the optimum spot on the matrix, like
exactly.
Wow. And so I feel that, and I'm just trying
and
to
you're
make
just at
the most
the
of it.
beginning of that.
I know.
You're
That's
just
exciting.
right at the starting line.
That's exciting.
I already did a book. Things are good.
Yeah, things are good.
Yeah.
Things are good.
Yeah, man.
I don't share your optimism that I'm going to live longer. I don't know, but I got to work on that. That's just an aspect of my personality.
Well, I mean, exercise will help that. Do you smoke or anything like that?
No.
Well, that sounded like kind of.
No, I don't. No, I don't smoke. I don't do drugs.
Let me think about
it. I eat like a fucking sumo wrestler is the thing. I eat in a pretty.
You don't look it.
Well, you look skinny, dude, so I wouldn't worry about that.
Tall and handsome and great hair.
Go on.
Jeez.
Go on.
He never talks to me like that.
know.
What the fuck's wrong?
I feel like with the two of you, since you're similar in age, what you're saying about the best years is if you kind of let go of the past and say what was and just keep your eye on the prize, then
sky's the limit.
Whatever's ahead is going to be the best of what you're going to do. You just have to have that mindset.
Yeah, well, and I think that there's something that a lot of us internalize when you're working up to something right up until middle-aged. You're like, okay, you're a kid. What do you want to do when you grow up? And then college, where are you going to do? What's going to be your profession? And then you're out there and you're trying to do it. And there's this kind of idea that you're going to eventually get to whatever it was you were doing, and then you'll coast or you'll just, that will be what you do. So I think it was a bit of a shock to sort of arrive at, that's the shock of middle age, is you're like, wait a minute, you don't stop creating your life now. You keep creating your life, and yet
100%.
Somehow you're supposed to have figured things out. And I was arguing with my daughter.
I'm not where I thought I was going to be, and all
and
that
it doesn't like,
which is true.
And I'm in a band with Peter Buck, and so I see somebody who has like reached the height of the heights possible that you can reach in the chosen field we're in, and it's like he's still striving now. You know what I mean? Like life doesn't stop just because you like, and that's like what makes it interesting is to keep striving. To be comfortable, to keep striving, to go, okay, here we go. This is still on. This game is on, and let's play it. And it's fun. It's fun. It's fun. I mean, for the most part. I mean, do you tour a lot, huh?
I do. And this year I toured kind of like I used to, like old school, like just felt like I was gone all the time. But it was because I had an album that's a year old now that I thought I got to make sure this gets I got to get this out, And that was sort of thrilling. It was hard to know, like, wow, this is going to be physically demanding. This is going to be exhausting in a lot of ways. I'm going to be missing. I'm leaving so much that I love behind to do this, but I also felt really compelled to get out and share what I was going on, So I don't have any regrets.
Right. What was that album called?
Objects in the Mirror. Same as the book.
Same as the book.
They were supposed to come out at the same time, but that's how much I miscalculated how long the book was going to take. The album came faster than expected. Book took longer than expected. So the book will come out in April of 2020.
And were there songs like for the essays and vice versa? Like,
they're loosely tied together. What I ended up doing was putting the lyrics from the song. I did 12 essays, and there's 12 songs on the album, and so for the essay on marriage starts with the lyrics to a song called Love of My Life, and so there's a loose tie-in, but you don't need one to get something from the other.
And what's the essay on marriage like?
It's kind of, I think that we go into, there is a lot of information.
Surely you've read that.
Only snippets.
Oh, really?
Really?
She hasn't read the book yet.
Really? Why not? Yeah.
That will they hear her? Can they hear? My wife is here at the podcast. Okay, no, but I mean, it was interesting because there is a lot, and Kirsten has always been a great partner in life, and because so much of my show is I'm talking about what's going on that day. I mean, every show is different, and I try to be
Authentic.
I try to be real, you know? And there's stories being told that maybe some folks wouldn't want told, but you've always been pretty cool with that. And if you disagree with me, you're not afraid to tell me that. And
so,
maybe
it's just like better to keep it kind of a little bit at arm's distance or something. Yeah. I get that. That makes sense. No, that's fair enough.
Well, and
it makes total sense.
You know, in the marriage, what I wanted to do, the truth is, we have had a great marriage, and we've been together a long time. It's always clicked, but I don't want to be obnoxious. Like, hey, everybody, it works for me. Why can't it work for you? So I really dug a little bit and thought, let me share a bunch of stuff that hasn't worked,
right?
That we've learned from, and so that's in the essay. But there's also this thing of like, we get involved in marriages with such shitty examples. We get romantic comedies, stupid magazines. You get a lot of
romantic
bad.
Comedies aren't real.
Man, you know, it's so frustrating though, because then we walk into this thing that is one of the biggest decisions you're ever going to make in your life. You got no real information that you're using, and we think we're just going to be able to wing this and figure it out, and it's an important decision. So it ends up like you end up struggling a lot. And I think that if we were more, so in the essay, I tried to say, hey, here's some stuff that has worked, and I know, you know, and might be useful.
Right. Like what? Give me an example.
Like identifying your fucking needs and the needs of your partner. This sounds so obvious, and we will say like, oh, it's communication. But for a lot of us...
Have you read that book, Nonviolent Communication?
I haven't, no.
That guy that does the giraffe and the... I don't know, what was
No.
Yeah, Steve McBean told me about it actually from the band
okay.
Black Mountain, and I actually checked it out.
Is it like a book for adults?
Well, I really just skimmed it a little bit. Like I haven't gone, you know, into it thoroughly, but it's like nonviolent communication, and it's like, yeah, kind of teaching people how to like actually communicate about their needs, like, and what love actually means, and like all these things. You know, it's just interesting. But yeah.
Well, I mean, whatever works for you. I've read books that have really helped, and we've had crappy parts of our marriage where I was like, "What? I got to figure this out." So I'd pick up a book, you know, that 5 Love Languages book. I got some good. You get something out of every book.
What's that? 5 Love Languages.
Well, it's the idea that we don't all give and love. We don't all give and receive love in the same way. So in this case, you got, you know, words of affirmation is one, gifts is one. Quality time is one. Acts of service, like, oh, my husband mows the lawn, so I know he loves me.
Right.
That might be his way of showing you he loves you. Like, look, I fixed up the house. But if yours is words of affirmation, and this guy's really emotionally closed and doesn't ever say I love you, you could be thinking, this son of a bitch doesn't even love me, and he's over here, look, I'm mowing the lawn.
I love you. Yeah.
So it's really useful to you know, I don't think there's any one magic bullet, but I think if you take all of these things, you can have a better marriage and go, you know what? If you can determine that, then when he's out there mowing the lawn, you still might be like, hey, buddy, I still need you to say I love you once in a while.
But you'll get it.
But you'll understand. You're just trying to show me he cares. You
Marshall Rosenberg. That's the name of the author
this
nonviolent communication.
The giraffe thing.
No,
do I want to read this book? Is
trippy.
Is it puppets? It sounds a little new age for me.
Check it out. Check it out on YouTube. It's more effective than you would think. Like when he brings up the puppets, it's funny, and but it's actually kind of, you know, because in the end of the day, we're all just kids, you know, and so like
Peter Pan over here.
I got some buddies you're gonna lose with puppets. If that's.
Well, I mean, this ain't my guy, but you know, like I'm just saying. Anyway, it was interesting
for the extremely open-minded. No, I will check it out though, because it is fascinating.
Yeah, you're in therapy, and Marshall Rosenberg, go for it.
Yeah, boom.
No, I mean, you guys got married early on.
We started dating early on. We actually, we met in high school, and
she's your high school
been together since we were 16. We got married at 25, so we've been together 9 years. It was young by today's standards, but seemed like an appropriate time to get married. And we've been married for 17 or 18.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, we got lucky. I mean, I think some of it is we got lucky, and I acknowledge that in the book. I'm not going to soapbox about everybody, just... We got lucky, but also we've worked at it, and some, you know, things like being like, hey, I really need this. It's important to me.
And the showbiz lifestyle of touring and stuff hasn't like been a challenge, or has been a challenge?
I mean, Kirsten, you may have a different view of it, but I don't know that it's been any more challenging than my friends who went to law school or had a job and came home and felt like there is something charming about getting time away from each other.
Well, yeah.
One of my beliefs is that is in marriage we sometimes want to.
What about the temptations of the road?
I fucking worship Kirsten, and I always have. And I kind of thought, if she's cool to let me go do this thing that I want to do, like, you'd have to be kind of thick to be like, and now let me risk it all for a one night stand. I mean,
but that's very mature of you as well, though. I mean, especially when you're, in your 20s, and it's just,
Well, one of the things I would say is don't get married if you got a wandering eye and you're like, hey, I got some oats I need to sow.
So you just didn't have that.
Well, I had so much to lose.
Yeah.
I had a stunning, bright.
Yeah.
I had a tremendously cool. It's like getting I don't know what would be the equivalent. I don't know. It's like
careful.
I'm trying to figure this. But it's like you get the best guitar in the world, and you're like,
let me play this Yamaha.
Yeah, you're gonna like mix it around. Yeah. I'm like, pass. I don't know what else to say here. Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with Yamahas. They actually make great guitars,
and they record
especially
great,
basses.
Right?
Yeah. So what? Give me an example of one of the other essays. I like this. Like, what's another one?
Well, okay. There's another essay on heroes, right, and the role that heroes play. That's in the relationships.
Who's your hero?
And instead of just writing who my heroes were, I just thought, why is the relationship? We're in a culture where we're so obsessed with what people we don't know are doing. I mean, my kids, I watch them fall down that Instagram well. I fall down it. You're just like, you're obsessed with it. So I thought about this. Like, is there anything? What's good about it? And the best thing I can say about heroes is they show us who we want to be, so that's the healthy side of heroes. On the disadvantage, you got these people. I played golf. John Daly's a fan of my music, the golfer. He's very crude, very crazy guy.
That's great.
It's pretty fun. It's been a fun relationship.
Oh man, he's like,
I don't know.
He's like
I know
Chris,
Tiger Woods.
He's like the Chris Farley of the golfing
he's
world.
crazy. He's won 2 of the majors.
He drinks and smokes, and he's
he's
like
a madman.
against type, but he's a kick-ass golfer.
So
you know what I mean?
we get an invitation to go golf, and I bring my dad and my brother, and I bring Kirsten's dad, and they're much more conservative than we are. They're much more. We go to, I say, just so
who is more conservative?
My in-laws, my family, even my dad. They're all like a little more. They're traditional. They're old school Catholics. I'm just like, look, guys, John is a wild card. I can't. This will be fun, but I don't know. We get down there and we go to play golf, and Kirsten's dad says, "Oh, I can't wait. He played at our club one time. Like, I can't wait to meet him." I said, "Just remember, he's a crude man,
rough
and I'm not a prude."
edges.
We meet this guy. We get down there. We walk into the club, and Kirsten's dad says, "John, I know someone that knows you." And John goes, "Well, did I fuck her?" and then Kirsten's dad doesn't even bat an eyelash, which is stunning. But then he says, "No, it's a he." And he goes, "Well, did he suck my cock?" And I'm like, God. I'm going to let you guys catch up. I mean, this shit is like insane, right? So, but I mean, you're with your father-in-law. I've known this guy since I'm 16, so he's kind of an intimidating figure.
Oh my God.
And we're here, and you're like, how's this going to go? And the thing is, it went fine. We had a great time because people, when someone is a hero of theirs, they will turn
the other cheek.
They just see it through rose color. Oh, well, no, he's just John Daly being John Daly. But if someone they didn't like said anything, even a fraction of that, they would crucify him, you know?
Is that in your essay? Is this
It
whole
is.
bit? In,
and I debated using it, and I asked John, I said, are you okay with me telling this story? Because I don't want to throw you under the bus or make you look. But he's John Daly, so he's like, I love you, man, whatever, you know? And I appreciate that about him. That's why I like him, because he's unapologetically who he is. You know?
That's
So
funny.
I also think, though,
and the editor actually, she said, I don't know, this is just a yarn. And I said, no, this is a story. This is to my point about heroes. Like, I'm going to tell it, not telling it to be crass. I give the reader a little warning,
Right.
but I did put it in. I hope we'll see if it was a good move or not. Anyway, sorry.
yeah, that's a great story.
Yeah.
That's I also think, though, like, when somebody is so unapologetically who they are, it's almost like it's almost like the Force. Like, even like I would almost go like, maybe even if you didn't know the person, if they are just the spirit of that,
Yeah.
like that you can get away with it. It's almost like somehow some
Carry
kind
it
of
off.
like, you know what I mean? Some kind of like use the Force.
Yeah.
It's like something about that.
No, it could be like, I mean, and I think you may be right about that.
Yeah.
There's just something about, you know, the fame card or the achievement card or the things
Right,
that make
that definitely does. That
like,
smooths it over even more, of course.
Yeah. Greases the wheels for it.
Greases the wheel. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, and it's like, what else did you say about heroes? That's interesting.
Well, so I made a few.
And who are your heroes?
In the essay, I said, look, I'm going to make a few points about heroes here, and one of them was that, you know, that we sort of this seeing heroes as real people, right?
Yeah.
And then I got into my heroes, and my heroes were my grandfather. Was a refugee of this country. He was like chased out of Nazi Germany, came back, fought D-Day +2 as a 19-year-old. Went on, he just exemplified so many of the things that I want to be. And my point there was, heroes don't need to be famous people.
Right.
Heroes are people that show us who we want to be in the world.
Yeah.
And so
heroes. Wait, let's hesitate on that for a second.
Okay.
Heroes don't need to be famous people. Heroes are what?
Heroes show us who we want to be.
Heroes show us who we want to be. I love that.
Yeah.
God, that's a good line. Have you written in that song? Heroes show us who we want to be.
I don't know, but maybe then this should be written. Maybe we write this.
He's gonna take it.
No.
Heroes show us who we want to be. That's beautiful.
Well, you know, write it and send me some
Well,
little cut. I don't know what the hell.
You wrote it.
Let's write it.
I'm just acknowledging it. It's beautiful.
I appreciate. You know, no, it's
that's great. Yeah, I love that.
But that idea is.
And David Bowie didn't make it in the hero section. I just think because he's got the song and it's David Bowie. I'm kind of kidding. I'm just.
Does David Bowie have a song called Heroes?
Oh yeah.
I don't.
We could be
Huge.
heroes just for one day. You don't know that
Okay,
song?
that's cool. No, I don't.
Oh my
Bowie's
God.
not in. He's not like. I know. I'm obviously very aware of him, but he's.
Yeah, not.
I haven't
a hero.
gotten there yet.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, what's another essay?
So let's think about this. You know, not to alienate people who don't have kids, but I really enjoyed writing that one because it's such a huge part of my life, and it's a big part of my songs too.
What, the kids?
Kids, yeah. It's like
Yeah, I want to have kids, and I don't.
I think
have
that's. So, are you married or are you?
No.
Okay.
No, haven't.
With someone or no?
Not really. I mean, you know, just starting to sort of.
This is
Date again,
this is
you
actually
know,
this
like,
podcast could be like this is your match.com because it's like,
Exactly.
he's got
No.
great aim, ladies. He's wants to have a family, a Peter Pan disposition. He's into yoga and steakhouses.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
this is
No,
for more
I
information.
went through
Visit
a long,
at
a
josepharthur.com.
long period of not dating recently, and just now started. So yeah, I mean, but yeah.
I think you'd be a catch, man. It seems
yeah, I
handsome
feel
dude.
like
You
I've
look
got
cool.
it.
You got
I
a
got it
youthful way.
together a little bit more than I have had in the past, so that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good.
So what about the
That's
kids?
exciting. Let me think who I know. We'll see. We got a
Yeah.
lot of eligible bachelorettes in the world here. So,
What-
but the kids thing, I guess the biggest thing about the kids, I'm trying to think about how to like address this without sounding heavy-handed, but everybody, a lot of times people who have kids, it's the best, you got to do this, and they kind of, it can be really obnoxious
Yeah, they
to
shove
people
it
that
down
don't
your
have
throat,
kids. They
yeah.
shove it down your throat.
Sometimes
Sometimes,
a lot of people be like, you don't need to do it, and like you can tell. There's not everybody is that whole like you got to do it. Like,
Well, and that was the essay breaks out between kids are the best and kids are the worst. And It's everything.
It's both.
Kids are the worst because there is a lot of weather, and then it goes back to. But the greatest thing that has happened to me about having kids is just that it opens your heart in a way that is
nothing else.
I don't know that anything else ever will. Like I will never. My kids will never love me the way that I love them.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people like me get addicted to.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you don't have kids, if you can understand what that's, if you can get a beat on that idea, it's like the idea of you can. It's a self-awareness. It's an opening tool of like, hey, when we start caring about the next generation and kids, that's like. That's worth noting and chasing and wanting to do in your life just because it's an expansion of what your heart is capable of, you know? And for that, and that was kind of what I tried to drive at in the kids essay, but I also ended up telling a lot of stories about, the bullshit that I've gotten involved in with my own kids and, in all these things I try to add an element of humor and
the light
levity.
and the dark as well.
Yeah. I want to share good information, but I don't ever want it to feel preachy or heavy-handed, which is not to say that it doesn't, because it may. I don't know. We'll have to see when people read the book what their take on it is. But
and it's out though. It's printed.
It comes out in April, and so it's not printed yet today.
Well,
actually,
congratulations.
It's on the way.
Yeah, I mean, can we keep going down this road? Or is this getting tedious?
I'm into it. Yeah.
I'm interested. I
love talking about it. It's my first time talking about it with anybody.
That's great. So what's another one?
Okay, so I gave you some of the first part of the book is relationships. So we talked about kids, we talked about marriage. So we'll go to the everything else that matters. Health. Let's talk about health because you said you have this, right?
I'm into health.
All right. So around the time I turned 40, you have a few firsts. You have your first colonoscopy.
Oh, I still haven't had that.
I haven't had
and
it
I'm
either.
48.
44.
Oh.
I just pray a lot.
You should go.
Pray.
I thought you get it at 50.
I actually pray a lot too.
I pray and visualize a white light healing my whole body when I'm in savasana and yoga.
Yeah.
I feel like that's enough, but I could be wrong.
Well, it's good. It's good, and prayer for me is a big one too.
Actually, I gotta. That reminds me. I gotta get my health insurance updated. But anyway, yeah.
Oh God,
so good.
that's like my stress meter goes like figuring out that shit.
Yeah. So you had colonoscopies.
Well, because again, and it's not a macabre thing, but it's like, okay, I got kids. Like I may not live forever. You start taking all this into account, right? So I go for my 40-year-old thing, and he's like, so you still drink 2 days a week? And I'm like, what was I, like 15 when I said that? No, like I drink much more than that. Like, and he's like, okay, do you have, how much?
You do? You drink more than that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what it said in your medical record?
Absolutely.
I don't drink.
Good. Great.
Yeah. I mean, I have, but, I try
Did
not
you,
to.
are you sober?
I'm basically, I'm like a sober person. Yeah. I mean, when I'm not sober, I should be. Let's put it that way.
Okay. But are you like, are you an addict? Or are you?
Oh, yeah, I would consider myself that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Well then.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
Check, please.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess we fit that.
Well,
okay.
Joe's been in and out of AA for a long time.
You have. Okay,
Hey,
good.
you don't have to put it like that.
Well, no, it's a good thing he's sober now. But
No, it's
yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, and what I
He doesn't know you, so I'm just
yeah.
like.
what I say to my kids though is too, like, look, I say this in the book. I don't know anybody who's a better person because they drink. Like I don't think anybody's.
Alcohol is
it doesn't
bullshit,
make or because they do drugs or anything. Like I'm not
Weed's
condoning any of
I
it.
don't know. And I like microdosing mushrooms.
Okay, is that okay to do with your? Are you?
I mean, I make my own rules.
Yeah.
I'm not
Okay.
I don't go by the book. But I think microdosing is like, especially psilocybin is like really beneficial. I mean, they're coming out with all kinds of research on it now. Like even like, John Hopkins. I mean, like really like.
But do you throw up? I will not do anything
I'm
where I
talking about,
knowingly will throw up.
No, it's such a tiny amount. When you say microdosing, it really is microdosing, like a tiny bit, and you barely feel it. It does something where it elevates it just does something with this. I don't know the language of it, so I can't really explain it in a smart way. But I'm not talking about for an effect. I'm talking about really genuinely, like there's even research. I was just listening to a podcast of this guy, Paul Stamets, on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he's the big mushroom guy that has that whole line of mushrooms like lion's mane, reishi, and all these stuff you get in the health food store that are really, really good. But also he was talking about the psilocybin stuff, and like even if you take the heroic dose, so to speak, like the big, like you are tripping dose, it's not even as good on certain levels as when you take a tiny amount. It's almost like the overdose is not good for you. I mean, so yeah, I believe in that, but I think that's healthy for people to do. But
it seems sort of in vogue because I keep
because,
hearing about it
because
for sure.
they're like lightening, like, you know, it's like everybody's like viewpoint on this stuff is like loosening up a little bit and getting out of the sort of dark ages of it,
right.
You know. I mean, even like weed to me induces fear. It makes me more fear-based. It makes me a bit more paranoid. It makes me less willing to like throw myself out there, or if I like throw myself out there, say on Instagram, and then get stoned, I'm like, oh my God, what did I do?
Right.
Whereas microdosing doesn't do any of that. It actually makes you just, you know, it just makes you, I think it helps you to the fuller expression of yourself in a way. I think it's healthy.
Well, I hear that, and I think that we do have to make our own rules to some, you know, to some degree. I think probably
like even Bill Wilson, who was the founder of AA with Dr. Bob, he famously took LSD a lot. Like, so even like so when
ironic.
you say like, are you? Yeah, exactly. So like when you say, are you allowed to do that? It's like, well, no. If you like took like the biggest big book thumper in the world, they would be like, terrible. But the guy who founded it,
right?
You know, was like
totally.
a total like you know, cosmonaut. You know, so it's like, I mean, like who makes the rules?
Well, and weed was never really my thing. You know, like it's just kind of, but booze sometimes, for me, helps me like be the dad I want to be. You know, like it's bath time,
what?
Right? So it's like you're you know, it's bath time, and you're so exhausted, and you're just shifting right out of like the work day into something that takes a lot of patience, which being a parent takes a ton of patience. And sometimes, you know, you open up a bottle of wine and it allows you to be just more like
laid
there.
back, yeah.
So
well,
alcohol has
drink
worked
a
for me,
couple
but
drinks, like, and leave it at that, and it doesn't expand past that. Like for me, I could easily have a couple glasses of wine with you right now, go home, go to sleep, and it would be fine. And then maybe even do that again the next day. But eventually, if I keep doing that, there'll be a time when I just keep drinking, you know, and it's just that's why it's, for me, it's better just to make alcohol not an option. If I keep alcohol, and that's my way of staying sober. Like that's how I can do something like, oh, I could microdose if I want, but like alcohol's not an option. And I even like make weed sort of not an option right now, you know, like so.
Good.
Yeah,
I think anytime you can do without stuff, it's best to do without it, and I impart that to my children. I don't condone it. I'm just, here we are. The ball is where it's lying. I'm 43.
Yeah.
Yes, I drink much more than 2 days a week, and I don't just have one or two drinks. And I can remember my doctor, who I love, looking up at me over his glasses and saying, "That's too much."
It is too much. I'm here to tell you.
Well, you know, but you know what else is too much? Like the way I eat is too much. It's like everything is too, you know, so what you do is you work with it. And and in my essay on health, going back to that, I say, you're going to have to take everything I say with a massive grain of salt, because I'm a chronic overeater. I know I drink too much.
I mean,
and yet
you're skinny, though. I don't get the overeater
shit doesn't show up always, but it has actually showed. I've gained, as Kirsten told our friends the other day. He's like, he's actually got a gut now. I'm like, thank you for noticing.
Yeah.
But it's true. And it's like, I don't want some of it is you're stress eating. You're emotionally, you're dealing with, I could do yoga. I could meditate.
Yeah, there's many ways.
But sometimes having that drink gets you where 45 minutes of meditation might get you in 5 minutes. And so you do it. I'm not, again, I'm not proud of this, but it's also not like heavily messing with my life. I'm not out drunk on the week. You know, I'm just sort of managing my life, and it's pretty intense. And it's sometimes, and this is kind of my point on health, like seeking perfect health is a lot of pressure to put on oneself. You know, my friends who do everything right, but they're the most passive aggressive motherfuckers you ever meet because they're so wound tight. It's like, if drinking isn't going to put you over the edge, or smoking a joint isn't going to put you over the edge, you might want to consider it, because you don't seem to be getting joy from your life. I get a lot of joy from my life. I would like to dial in my health a little bit more.
Okay,
it's one of
let
the
me just
things
say
that I
this
know
to
I have
you.
to do.
The Nile ain't a river in Egypt, my friend. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, I'm looking pretty at this with pretty open eyes. I mean, I'm the one telling my doctor, like, Doc, no, I am definitely drinking more than. I mean, I don't, And I talked to my dad. He's an alcoholic, but he's not unpleasant. But he's a guy that when I talk to him, and he's like, son, he's like, I drink so much more than you, and it kind of you're just it's all perspective, I'm like, but I say to my dad, I want to be able to still have conversations at 9 p.m. when I'm 65. I don't want to be, I can't talk to my dad after a certain time of day.
Mm-hmm.
He's never been unpleasant. He laughs at me when I overeat, because he's like, son, you have an off switch. And I'm like, oh yeah? As he's looking up at me over his bowl of Chardonnay, I'm like, all right, well, let's talk about off switches there, Pop.
Right.
We just have our stuff, hey, everybody's doing the best they can.
That's true. It does run in families, alcoholism, that stuff.
I worry about it.
It's genetic.
From my neck. I feel like with me and my sister, I feel like with my siblings, it may have skipped our generation. I'm not saying we don't drink too much, but I'm not sure we have the same need to drink. And I worry,
Right.
does it skip and go to your kids? And I say in the book, I'll never forgive myself if one of these guys really struggles with it. I'll feel bad that I ever represented anything to them. I mean, this is kind of but
Yeah.
what are you going to do?
Start going to yoga every day.
I don't know about that.
Come on, it's so good. It's the best. I'll say this. This is what I love about yoga, because
Kirsten's looking. They've tried yoga.
No,
And I will try to get-
here's the
tell us
deal
about
with yoga, because okay, today for instance, I go and do 90-minute hot yoga class, and it's like, I get up early, I go, and then I turn my phone off for the first 2 hours of the day. I'm not looking at my phone at all. At the end, I meditate for 15 minutes, and then also I've completely stretched this middle-aged body out completely, and just feel sort of a blissful way of starting the day. And you do that sort of every single day. It's just, and then I have a mantra going on while I'm in the practice. So it's I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. I do the Ho'oponopono mantra.
Beautiful.
And it's just that it gives me such a leg up on my day.
Yeah.
And then that, it's hard to have a bad day after that. You can have a mediocre day after that, but a bad day, I mean, that's how I craft it. I'm not trying to be preachy or high.
No.
I'm just as a recommendation to people who are I don't know, a little bit, not saying you, I'm just saying them out there. Anybody who's aimless or looking for a path, is such a great way of getting a leg up on your day and on your life. Because just even the sheer fact of this device is off and out of your life for the first 2 hours or hour and a half of your day, that's intense right there. I mean, just I couldn't get away from that if I didn't do that. I don't think.
No, I know, and it messes with you. It's admirable.
Yeah, I'm
awesome.
not saying it to be Mr. Admirable.
But you have actually, and you and I have never met until today. But it's you have a warm glow. You have kind of it's not surprising to me that that's your regime.
Right.
Now, if you looked at my household, when we wake up, it's fucking chaos from the second we wake up.
Right.
We have 4 young kids. It's and I'm like, whoa. I mean, it is so batshit crazy that and this is what my chapter about health is about. We've all got different situations.
Right.
So there isn't one.
That's right.
You can just go, hey,
exactly.
This is how it works for me. This is how it works for you.
And I appreciate your candor.
Yeah. I mean,
and I appreciate you, because you as well have a very integrity vibe.
Right.
And I can, and also I did a little bit of research, and just people love you. Your fans, they love you. They think of you as this incredible, artist that, they wish had more fans and this, that, and the other. I can relate to that too, because
people feel the same way about you.
I get a little of that too.
Yeah.
And it's and so it's
You get a lot of that. My manager's like, when you were there, she's like, get your ass down there and meet with Joseph
That's
Arthur.
cool.
She's
That's
a
cool.
big fan, and it's great. Yeah.
Tell her hi. Shout out. What's her name?
Yeah, Jessica Martin.
Jessica Martin.
Jess,
Shout
we're
out.
here, and you took a picture, right, Kirsten?
Yeah, she did. She took a few.
Good.
But yeah. So anyway, I respect you. So yeah,
Thanks.
All that being said, with respect, you know.
Yeah, no, I feel it, and
yeah.
and actually in the book, one of the things that I say is, for me,
Yeah.
I'd rather relate deeply to one person than on a surface level to many.
Oh wait. Okay, say that again.
So I'd rather relate deeply to one person
Yeah,
than
no.
on a surface level
Yeah, that's
to
beautiful.
many.
What chapter is that in?
I think it's in the introduction.
Oh, okay.
I got right into that because being this type of artist and stuff, you go, what are the aces in my deck? Like, well, this is what I'm about. And so you see that. You see a deep connection to the people that are listening to your music.
Yeah.
And my hope is with the book that we can reach a little, that we can get a little further beyond that. You know, not from my own
You're definitely
shit,
going
but
to.
I hope so. I think so. I hope so.
We're doing it here now with the
Yeah.
breakdown.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is,
I know.
This is legendary.
This is the first pod. This is the first talking
This is
about the
jamming.
book too. It's very cool.
Give us another one. What's another essay?
Fantastic hair.
What do we got?
Well, yeah, we both have fantastic hair.
Yes.
Anyway, is
Hanging
that
on.
really a chapter?
Hanging on to it.
I don't
No.
read it.
Well, you know, and let's go home. Let's kind of come home. How are we doing? We are okay. We got a minute. Like here, I know. I know we're.
Stephen was stuck in traffic and we started late. It's
I know.
5:28.
Okay.
So.
Okay. So
We have
let's
to wrap it up?
So let's move towards that. But okay. So let's go to this chapter.
Give us one more.
This is the last chapter in the book.
Okay.
This is something that I think I would guess is important to all three of us who are here. And
There's
Kirsten.
4 of us.
4 of us. I know. Sorry. All 3 of us except my
What was the
dumb
ch-
wife over there. No. But the last chapter is legacy. Okay?
Ooh.
And it's like, you know, we are so, and this ties into our mutual friend, Adam Duritz.
Oh.
When my kids meet
Shout out
Adam
Adam
Duritz meant so much to me growing up. Means a lot to me now. But
Yeah.
sold whatever, 35 million records or whatever. When my kids
Whatever.
No, but I mean, you know, so it's a lot. I don't know.
Yeah,
I may be
yeah. I don't know.
underestimating
I
the
don't know.
statistic.
Yeah.
I don't know what the exact statistic is. My point is, this man impacted millions and millions of people with his art.
Mm-hmm.
When my kids meet him, they're like, is this a nice guy? Does he have lemonade in the fridge? And the point is, they just don't give a shit.
Right.
It means something. You mean something
It's
to the
probably
people you
first,
mean something to.
Does he have lemonade in his fridge? And then is
And
he a
then
nice
is
guy?
he a nice guy? Exactly. So there's two ways to feel about that, though, right?
Yeah.
You're either excited by the fact that, oh wow, I'm small. Like even if you're a big deal, like it's not his experience as a human is not that different from anyone else's. So I can get rid of some of this ego-driven shit because we're all just people trying to go our way.
Yeah.
Or you can feel completely flattened by like, wow, I'm so small. Does any of this matter at all? And I tend to favor the former, you know, of like, wow, this levels the playing field completely. So our legacy is really like, what are we going to impact in our immediate circle? What little things can we do to have our life mean something?
Yeah.
And that feels really like that's empowering.
And what is that?
Well, it's
What
different
can we-
it's different for everybody, but for me, it makes me go, instead of going, wow, this person has more, you know, Facebook followers than I do, or they selling out the Beacon, and I'm just doing, you know, this size venue or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of looking at it that way, it makes me wake up and go like, no, I get this incredible opportunity to be with these people and to connect with them and to share something and to maybe turn their thinking or their human experience in a positive way in
Right.
whatever capacity. I get to bring them some joy maybe, but also I feel like I was sent here to like have a conversation and to do thinking things. So I relish that even if it sometimes feels like my megaphone's not as big as I initially
As you
wanted
wish
it to be
Yeah.
or want it to be, you know?
Yeah.
It's like this sense of my legacy is not about numbers. That's not the metric. That's the wrong metric. It's about what are we doing with where we are and where we're here, and that is exciting and empowering. And that was That's a takeaway. You know, how am I raising my kids? How am I being with my friends? How am I being in my community? These are like achievable things that aren't just like, that don't make you feel like you're just pushing the mountain, you know?
Right. What do you do about the frustration when that's the enlightened perspective? What happens when the devil on your shoulder is like, man, fuck all that. Why isn't my megaphone big? You know, because like we all have like the enlightened one on our shoulder and then also the little dumb brat on our shoulder too.
Totally.
How do you talk down the dumb brat?
Well, and I'm the king of the dumb brat. I mean, the Grammy nominations came out yesterday.
Dude, me too. That bugged me.
You just start feeling shitty.
Like straight up. Like,
Really?
You know what though? I just put out a record too, and it's like, and then you know, like Grammy nominations come out, and it's like, yeah, it hit me a little bit. But then my manager, I said that to my manager, something like, we didn't get Grammy thing, and he goes, yeah, neither did Springsteen. And I was like, okay,
or Taylor Swift.
And he said that too. I was like, I actually, you know.
But
And that's a fucking crime because
Don't you
Taylor
have
Swift
to submit yourself for the Grammys?
Yeah, I didn't do that. I don't know if you do or not. I mean, it's not, you know, it's one of those things.
I think we did, but I don't think we ever have. I don't even think we ever thought it was possible. And I made this record and I saw what it was doing for people. And I said to my manager, and I remember she kind of chuckled, and I'm like, fuck that.
Let's submit it.
Like, we are every bit. There's no. I'm not
she
saying.
chuckled at the Grammy thing.
Well,
yeah.
she, you know, because it's just like it
'cause
sounds
you
a
never-
little crazy to be
yeah.
like, hey, make sure we submit for the Grammys because
Yeah.
you're like we.
doesn't.
But I'm kind of like, no, I think we did a great piece of work,
Yeah,
and I
let's
don't.
do it. Because
you know,
sometimes they do. Sometimes it's
Sometimes
like
they grab onto something.
Some underdog. Sometimes an
but
underdog
also,
will get it.
I mean, how many? I mean, don't get me going, but it's like. The Grammys is the same fucking people every year. It's like, we only know.
No, you can't. No, it's one of those things where you know, like, you know, you can't take it too seriously.
No.
And it bugged me for like 5 minutes. Honestly, it did not bug me for long.
Same.
But it does
No,
bug
the
you
same.
a little bit.
But
Like
since
it does.
you- but
It's
since
a
you're
little
asking-
thing. Like it's a little like, you know, it's
I
one
have
of
no
those
idea.
things. But it's like,
Well,
you know,
I know,
it's,
and
you know,
and you're, you
life
know,
goes on.
I want to be, you know, I want to make sure that I finish this point because I don't want to
Right.
sound like a sour grapey guy.
Exactly.
But you're asking
And-
about the
yeah.
good and the bad. So
Yeah.
at 43, I can now
Right.
go. I used to be like, God, Kellogg, why do you feel envy and why are you feeling jealousy and why?
Yeah.
I accept now. This is part of my personality. I could
Right.
no sooner change that than I could change the
Well,
color
it's
of
like,
my.
it's
I
like
change the
getting
color of my
nervous
hair.
before a gig. It's like part of it is like just in the mix. It's like, come on, it's like you're out here being an artist doing it. Of course you want bigger recognition. You want your work to travel. You want your work to. You want to help more people. You want your work. If you believe in what you're doing, you want
Sure.
that out there more. So feeling a little disappointment. That's just human. That's fine.
Totally
it's like,
human.
If
Totally
you,
fine.
If you then go and like go on a crack bender for 5 months and like give up and you know like then that's unhealthy. If it bugs you a little bit and then you feel better like you know the next day and you're fine, that's a healthy.
It's just like
that's healthy.
It was like a little thing that you're like, why do I feel this? Oh yeah, because like it was another year where you're like. And then you move on.
And it makes me
it's
feel
fun.
better even talking to you because it's almost like identifying, like, oh, okay, it's like, yeah, he you know, and it's like,
Well, and
you know,
Joseph, that's
yeah.
why I even brought that example up because
Yeah.
that's the benefit.
Right.
If you can say, yeah, of course I feel envy
Little
and I feel jealousy, I feel all these human things, like,
fine.
but
you know.
it doesn't hang me up. I
Some
don't
people
swim
have
around
real
in it.
problems, you know. It's like one of those.
Yeah,
you
and you
know.
don't have to feel remotely bad or embarrassed
No.
for having those feelings. You know,
No,
I think it's just like,
exactly.
all right, cool. This is how it went.
And it's healthy to acknowledge them and
Right.
and then also just you know laugh it off because it is ultimately it's kind of a joke. I mean, and I'm not saying that in any disrespect, but it is ultimately it's not a big deal. But you know,
any friends who are listening, like, I'm happy for you. I really am.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I know. I mean, you got to
Shout out Jeff
increasingly.
Ament. He got a Grammy.
Yeah,
for,
I texted
for
him.
I
I said,
texted him
"Thanks."
too.
Gregory Alan Isakoff, one of
Yeah,
the
he's
amazing.
classiest
He got
artists
a
in
nod.
the
Yeah.
world, gets
Yeah.
a nod. He's deserved
Really?
one for many years. I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of ridiculous that it was his first one, but
Who is
it's
that?
Gregory Alan Isakoff.
Oh, okay.
Been trying to get him for a session for years.
He's
okay.
he's
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 is a singer-songwriter?
Yeah, he's in. I
and he
mean,
got a great Grammy nomination, huh?
I didn't know that.
I didn't know.
Oh,
either.
yeah.
I've never
No.
even heard of him. So
and here's a guy you've
There you
never
go.
heard of who will sell out multiple nights at Red Rocks. I mean,
oh wow,
just quietly, without fanfare, without stepping on anybody, just
Yeah.
has gone and built a beautiful career. Nice that it's recognized. I am happy. I'm really happy for him. You just feel the pangs of your own ambitions that don't, it's like
and that's healthy too, because it's like, it's like, hell yeah, I still have those kind of ambitions.
Yeah.
And hell yeah, that's nothing
Right.
wrong with that. Like,
Right.
this just makes me want to, use that as fuel to keep going. Like you convert everything. Like an artist is somebody who redeems every situation and makes work out of it. That's what an artist does,
It is.
So it's like our little disappointment here. Well, okay, we'll get them next year.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
We'll get 'em.
That's all it is.
We are
We're
the Academy.
coming.
If you're listening,
we're still
Joseph and
coming.
I are submitting our next work in advance here.
We're coming. That's
coming
all
for you.
Just 2 words. We're coming.
You heard it here first.
That's awesome.
All right, should we wrap it there?
We should.
Yeah.
We
Dude,
should.
that's a
I
good-
hate to wrap it. I love
Bro,
talking to you guys.
We'll do it again. We'll do
yeah.
part
Do it
2.
again.
Yeah.
We'll do
I'd
part 2.
I'd
That
love
was
it.
that
Thank
was
you
a
for
lot of
having
fun.
me.
And congratulations on your book
Thank
and
you,
your
man.
beautiful life and your family and your
Yeah.
wife and
Thank you.
everything, man. It's a pleasure to meet you.
You too. You
Yeah.
too. Really glad to know. Will you connect us too so we can
Yeah,
see each
for
other?
sure. And we should do some shows together
Yeah.
sometime.
Yeah, man. That would be.
Yeah, let's do
You can
that.
teach me yoga.
This
Yeah.
episode is
You
coming
teach me
out.
how to drink properly.
Yeah, I know.
This episode is coming out next Friday, and
Okay.
you have a few shows in the city right
Yeah, you
after that. You
give
wanna
your
mention?
Yeah, that's
socials
our
and all
tour
that.
starts that day, and so we'll, we kick off in Northampton, Mass, and we do this.
Where are you playing there?
Iron Horse Music Hall.
Love that place.
Yeah.
Great place.
Yeah, great place.
Yeah.
We're doing a lot of great venues on
And
this
then you're
run.
playing New
throughout.
York, December.
Where do people see the dates?
To New York. So StephenKellogg.com.
Word.
StephenKellogg.com, old school website. And we'll have we got the tour dates up there, the music's up there, all the stuff is kind of,
He's playing the Cutting Room December 6th, I think.
What's your Instagram?
it's at Stephen_Kellogg. is the Instagram.
I'm at Joseph_Arthur. We got
There we are.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is a place where we know that we're putting our stuff out there.
ever do a band, we're gonna call ourselves the Underscores.
The underscores.
Double entendres too. Because
Yeah,
like,
again, it makes you think of
we're underrated.
underdogs. Underrated.
Underdogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Boom.
I love it.
All right, y'all.
I love it.
Thanks, Steven.
Thank
You guys,
Steven.
thanks for the chat.
All right.
Yeah. See you soon.
Hi, this is Joseph Arthur. Thanks for checking out Come to Where I'm From. Please support us on Patreon, patreon.com/come to where I'm from. We are an independent podcast, and any contributions you can make are greatly appreciated.